Today in Capechi's Corner, we're going to look at areas of trapezoids. When working with areas of a trapezoid, we first need to remember a few things about trapezoids. The bases are parallel, and the base angles of an isosceles trapezoid are also congruent. So we have the formula A is equal to 1/2 the height times the sum of the bases, B1 plus B2. It doesn't matter which one you make 1 and which one you make 2. If I look at my diagram, remember the height goes straight down at an altitude, it hits at 90 degrees. And because the bases are parallel, the height along any location in the trapezoid is going to be the same. The other thing we can look at is the median. The median is this blue line here. And to find the measurement of the median, we simply add the bases and divide by 2. Looking at our first example, I have the area formula there to help us. So I have the area is equal to 1/2, the height is 5, and then my bases I'm given, 7 plus 13. This gives me 1/2 times 5 times 20, which gives me the area is equal to 50 meters squared. If I want to find the median, I have to add my bases, 7 plus 13 divided by 2, and so my median is 10 meters. In my next example, the trapezoids kind of turn sideways. We're not used to seeing it like this, but we do have the height. The height here is 12, and I do have my bases. I have 9 feet, and over here I have 14 feet. So I have the area is equal to 1/2 times the height, which is 12, times the bases, which are 14 plus 9. So that gives me 1/2 times 12 times 23. And when I do my calculations, I end up with the area is equal to 138 feet squared. Again, if I want to find my median, I add my bases, so I have 14 plus 9 divided by 2, which doesn't go evenly, but that's okay. It gives me 11.5 feet is my median. In the next example, we see that we have an isosceles trapezoid because the legs have the same measurement. So I brought down an altitude from either side, which will be 90 degrees. And so what happens with this measurement of 12, we have 6 in the middle because that's what the opposite base is, and then I have 6 left, and I know I have congruent triangles here. So I know that's going to break up between 3 and 3. So my bottom base still has a measurement of 12. So I need to find out what my height is, which is x. Now again, we could use a Pythagorean theorem where that's a triple, so I know that's going to be 4. So when I go to use my formula, I have area is equal to 1/2 times my height, which is 4. We had to find that this time. And then the sum of my bases are 6 plus 12. So that gives me the area is equal to 1/2 times 4 times 18. When I simplify all of that, I have area is equal to 36 inches squared. Now if I want to find my median, I add my bases, which are 6 plus 12 divided by 2, and that gives me 9 inches. In my next example, I also have an isosceles trapezoid. This time I'm giving a measurement of 60 degrees for my base angles. So I know that the other side here, I've formed a rectangle that's going to be 12. So I need to find my height, and I need to find this other piece of my base. Because I have a 30, 60, 90 here, I know that my hypotenuse is 8, so that means my short leg is going to be half of that. So y has a value of 4. And then my height's going to equal 4 root 3. That's my x. So when I do my formula to find my area, I have 1/2 times my height, which is 4 root 3, times the sum of my bases. So if this piece right here, that y is 4, I have y is 4 over here. So my base on the top is 12. And my other base gives me 4 plus 12 plus 4, which gives me 20. So I have the area is equal to 1/2 times 4 root 3 times 32. When I simplify that, my area is 64 root 3 centimeters squared. When I find my median, I add my bases, which are 12 plus 20, divide by 2, so my median is 16 centimeters. In my next problem, I have a base of 7 and a base of 13, and I need to find my height. Bring a line down there. Again, that's 90 degrees. And this time I have a 35-degree angle, and there is no special triangles including 35 degrees, so I'm going to have to use a trig function. So my x is my height. I need to find this other piece right here to help me with that height. So because that whole measurement is 13, I know this part is 7, so this part here, y, is going to equal 6. So I have tangent of 35 is equal to x over 6. I do my computation, and x is equal to 4.2. So my area is going to be equal to 1/2 times the height, which is 4.2, times the sum of my bases, which is 7 plus 13. So I have the area is equal to 1/2 times 4.2 times 20. So my area is equal to 42 units squared. If I want to find my median, I add my bases, 7 plus 13 divided by 2, and that gives me 10 just units to the first power. In our last problem today, we have an isosceles trapezoid, has bases 12 and 28, and the area is 300. And we're asked to find the height and the perimeter. So let's label what we have. So I know my base here is 12. I know I have isosceles trapezoid. So I'm going to bring an altitude down. And again, I know that's going to be 90. I'm going to have an altitude again on the other side. It breaks up that trapezoid easily for us. And so I know the area is 300. So I also know that this is 12 here. So this is going to be x, and this is going to be x here. That's going to be the same. And because they're the same, I know that that bottom base is going to be 28. So I take 28 minus 12, and I get 16. And then I divide it in 2. So I know each of these are going to be 8. So I'm going to actually cross off that x. That gives me 8. Same thing on this side. Now let's work with our formula. So I know area is equal to 1/2 times the height times the sum of our bases. We know that my area is 300 is equal to 1/2. Now we don't know what the height is yet, so we're going to leave that there. That's height times the height, and we know my bases are 12 plus 28. So when I simplify that a little bit, I get 300 is equal to 1/2 times height times 40. So I have 300 is equal to 20h. So h is equal to 15. So that's our height. Our height is 15. Now I'm going to go back and label that. So again, I'm going to cross off that h. I'm going to make that 15. In order to find the perimeter, I need to find the legs of this isosceles trapezoid. So again, I have a triple here. So I have an 8, 15. This gives me 17. This is 17 on the other side. So to find my perimeter, I just have to add all of those measurements up, right? 17 plus 12 plus 17, and again, our bottom base is 28. So in the end, we have 74. Now again, this is units to the first, and our height is also units to the first.